What's up, YouTube? This is Brandon at the Movies here, or Let's Talk Horror Movies, with a new movie review. Today I'm reviewing How to Train Your Dragon live action from 2025. I got to see it an early screening. It was an early screening access yesterday at AMC. And I know today is technically the official Thursday night releases, so I did see it twice yesterday. Once with myself, and then the second time was with the family. It stars Mason Thames as Hiccup, Nicole Parker as Astrid, Gerard Butler as Stoic the Vast, who he did voice Stoic in the first two How to Train Your Dragon movies. And it tells the story of Hiccup, who is a Viking who can't do the Viking way. He, obviously knocks down the Night Fury. He goes and tries to kill it, but realizes he can't, and he wants to protect Toothless, and they become friends. And eventually he has to teach, Burke that there's another way to deal with dragons, not having to kill them. So this is a very faithful adaptation to the live action movie. From what I gather on the books, from the things I know about the book, Astrid wasn't in the books, from what I know. The little bit information I know, it's definitely different. So they actually created Astrid for the animated films, which obviously I think is I like that they added that, because I do like the Astrid character. But so this live action remake is the first live action remake from something else that's not really at Disney, and I'm talking about like kind of a shot for shot, like just literally from animated movie to to live action, which a lot of people have their gripes with Disney, and trust me, they're not all great, but I don't hate them, but I understand people's issues with them, and I see the flaws in those. This was the one I felt like, if anything gets a remake, plus Lilo and Stitch, because I felt like that needed another resurgence, just because, there's not a lot of Lilo and Stitch stuff out there. But anyway, that made sense. Now that definitely did feel like that was planned for Disney Plus, and they chose to put in the theaters, which was a smart idea. But obviously there were some things they had to cut the budget down, like they couldn't use Gantu in that. But here they had the budget. Now it's actually $15 million cheaper than the animated budget, but they really put the effort, the love. Dean DeBose, I believe is how you pronounce DeBose. Really take the love and care. Now, maybe some people, I do think people will say that this might have been a too safe of a remake, like it was just really faithful. There's subtlety changes here and there, obviously, within the characters, with the looks of characters, certain actions, like there are differences, and maybe there's a scene or so maybe was cut. I remember I think there was one particular scene. There's one scene with just Hiccup and Toothless that's not in the live action one, and this is about 20 minutes long, at least 28 minutes longer than the original, and it didn't feel, and the pacing felt really good for me, in my opinion. I watched it twice, and I watched 4 movies yesterday, so How to Train Your Dragon twice, and then Dangerous Animals, and Bring Her Back to Me before that. But it felt like a breeze, honestly. And I gotta say, I love this. I love the adaptation. Now, am I going to say it's better than the animated? I won't say that. It's close. I think the things that will make it better, the animated better for people, is just the fact that there's certain things they didn't do, or just in terms of like the humor, or the way that the characters can play. But they really try to go for, like, there's a scene where Hiccup tries to go up against Gobber, like in terms of the way that Hiccup in the animated goes, and I'm like, okay, I like that they are trying to do certain things like that. Now, maybe some people will prefer that the animated, and look, the animated are always going to be there. I love the animated, but I felt like this was a movie that you could adapt. And I'll get into the too safe part, but Mason Thames as Hiccup is definitely Hiccup to me. Like, I love Jay Baruchel as Hiccup doing the voice, because he even came back for like a lot of the TV series stuff. A lot of the cast did, which I really do appreciate that, because that continuity, it didn't feel different, didn't feel like it was, you know, something different. It was the same cast. And obviously you were not going to be able to cast him unless you did an older Hiccup story. And maybe you could do something like that. I would be curious if they would be open-minded to see an older Hiccup, the voice cast doing live action. Maybe, but let's not get ahead of ourselves there with that. But I think Mason Thames brings a lot of what Hiccup is, and the voice, especially the narration, it felt really eerie too. Obviously a bit different with Jay Baruchel, but it felt so Hiccup, and I love that. And he brings that likability, that emotional that you want, and it really brings out, especially when it comes to him in Stoic, where he, you know, he's frustrated, and like he tries to get back at his, you know, tries to talk to his dad, and his dad won't listen. I love his, even some of the interactions with some of the like, when, you know, the twins try to go at Hiccup, and he goes, it's like, he makes a joke out of like them being too old, or, you know, makes fun, he says, hey, it's not a lot of things you have this kind of name, and, you know, obviously those things you really like about Hiccup, but he has this, ultimately, you know, where his mind, he is not a killer, he's not a killer of dragons, and I really, and you feel that throughout the film. And I love how they also give him the nuance of the way he has, you know, is, you know, really likes Astrid, and the way he smiles and is awkward, but also, you know, tries to talk to her. Just, I loved what I saw from Mason. I think this movie was all going to be on the visuals of, especially of Toothless, but also the casting of these characters, especially Hiccup. Hiccup was going to be key, because he's your guy. He's the one you're following. He is the one you're rooting for. You root for everyone, you root for Astrid too, but he is the one that needs for this to work with him and Toothless. Nico Parker as Astrid, she gives you the vibe of Astrid. She is Astrid. I like the casting when it was announced, and I really liked her in this movie. She's tough, she's badass, she's, you know, obviously, you know, Hiccup has a crush on her. They have that Astrid vibe. For some, again, I don't think everyone's going to love it, probably, like, in terms of the relationship. Some will say, how does that, like, how it goes from here to here? I mean, that's, and to be fair, that's what happens in the animation. Some people won't like how it goes there. You might have to do things a bit differently and make that work a bit better. But I bought into it. I think, and maybe it's a little bit biased of me, because I love this franchise so much, and I wanted to see more of this world, even if it's like very faithfully and maybe almost shot for shot, to a fault maybe. But I love this world, and it's hard for you want to change a lot of things. Like, there's certain, I think there's some things maybe you can do much more. But I think they needed to play safe here with the first one, because you want to be able to get to the second, because they did announce a sequel for How to Train Your Dragon 2 for 2027. So which I'm happy for, because I want to see more of this world. Now, where the sequel goes, are you going to go straight to the sequel like the animated films? It's usually with the first one you have to kind of stick to what you know. With 2 and 3 now, you do have those other two animated films. So do you directly, do those, or you make them your own in those two films whilst adding some similarities to those films? I think you do. I think you can go both. I think you can do it both ways in those. We'll see how that goes, but I think that's when you ultimately go from there. Gerard Butler as Stoic the Vast. I mean, there's no contest he is Stoic the Vast. The voice, the mannerisms, he feels like, even the emotional scene towards the end, I could see the end. That's Stoic. I mean, you feel it. Even the scene where he really goes off on Hiccup, and he comes out and he's like, in his mind, he realizes what he shouldn't have said, but because he's so stubborn, he's not gonna you know get to that until ultimately where he realizes he's wrong. And Gerard Butler's just such a charismatic guy that just he is stoic. I can't picture anyone as stoic the vast now. Like, I mean, he's the voice. Now, if you watch the animated series on Netflix, they did have someone else play the voice of Stoic, unfortunately. But I think they did a good job because he's here and there in the series. He's not all there in the series all the time. So I mean, that's fair. But with all the main cast, like the group, you have to. The rest of the cast, I think was pretty solid. I think you get all the vibes and the hints of the twins, Fish Legs, and of Snot Loud, all their personalities you see now. Fish Legs, I like Fish Legs. I like they give him the smarts and stuff. I think my only nitpick of the Fish Legs character, more in line with more of how on his dragon, they make his dragon a bit bigger than him. If you watch in the animated film and the series, she's a bit smaller. Like, he's still bigger. Like, it's obviously a kind of awkward fit. Now, maybe realistically, they couldn't make that work. It probably might look more ridiculous on screen in live action than it does in animated. So I get why that. But that's, if any nitpick there is that they did change kind of the look of one of the twins. I can't remember. I don't always remember their names. Like the twins are Rough Nut and they make the sister a bit bigger and with orange hair, which is interesting. It didn't bother me. It just, obviously they made that change. They wanted to make them not as like all of them the same. Like obviously you could tell, like, the voices. I think the voice of Fish Legs is going to be the one that probably, and maybe Snout Loud. I think his voice needed to be maybe a little deeper. But again, these are small nitpicks, and these are things I really honestly I didn't have an issue with. But if I'm going to nitpick on some of those things, or those are the things. But outside of that, and the visuals, the third act, the action, the dragon looks, oh my god. And then Toothless, oh my god. Toothless is like a mix of my cat and my dog. It is insane how it feels. Like, my dog is like doing the huffing, and it's just happy. And then you have jump and run everywhere. And then you got Gamora, who likes to chase things, and she's kind of can get mad and aggressive, and just like, you get all that mix of things in those two. And like, Toothless is awesome. It's just awesome, and just they did a really good job to make you want a real life Toothless. I mean, Toothless is one of my favorite animal creatures that doesn't need dialogue. And a lot of the times, with certain characters like this, you want dialogue with. But honestly, no. I like you can communicate without having, to actually have them, with, Toothless talking. All the other dragons, Stormfly, Hookfang, the twins, and then Fish Legs. I watch this more often than not. I should know their names a lot more, but obviously they all look amazing. The third act final battle sequence with that big huge dragon, oh my god, the way it's shot. Seeing an IMAX, I saw it as IMAX and Dolby, and they both look great, but obviously on IMAX, it's such a beautiful looking film. It's shot really well. It's shot in Ireland, I believe. I don't know if it was all in Ireland, but but it was definitely shot in Ireland. Oh man, this is how you make a adaptation. Now, maybe there's one shot in the water that kind of feels But again, the way they have to light and make it look certain, like in that time period, I think also, kind of, I think, but again, one shot maybe kind of looked a little, obviously they might be on a little bit of a green screen, but not as like noted, like it's maybe one shot, but again, another nitpick, but I still can't say any more, and I can't say anything really negative. Now, getting to the main thing, I will say, did they play it too safe? Sure. I will admit to that this, it feels really safe because it plays a lot of the same beats. There's subtle changes here and there. And for some that it's not enough for them to do a live action remake, you should just stick to the animated. But I get that, but at the same time, I think this was a movie that I wanted to see. Like, it's dragons. I want to see, let's see them in real. Like, if you can do them as good as they did, then I think it's worth it just for that alone. If they didn't put the effort in, if the love wasn't there. Now, Dean DeBlos was the co-director of the first 3 How to Train Your Dragon films. Chris Sanders, who voiced Stitch, and they also helped create Lilo and Stitch. I don't know if he also co-directed on the last 2, from what I remember. I know he did the first one with Sanders, or with Dean. But I think he's the reason why this movie works, and why the love and how faithful it is. Because I don't know if I would want anyone else directing these. It's not like, I feel like these are movies you want someone who cares about this property. Now, can that be a flaw because they stay in line and they don't want to change too much about something? Yes, I absolutely. But I think with this franchise, I think you don't want to stray too far. You do want, like I said, with 2 and 3, I want you to like branch out a bit. Like, I know they talk about they want to bring Cate Blanchett back for Hiccup's mom, absolutely. But I don't want you to use this. Don't use the same villain. Do something different with that villain, or make it much more rich with that character instead of just Draco Bloody Fist, or like do something more. Do something different there. You can have some of the similar themes, and with her being captured by the dragons, or change it up to a degree. But like with the villain, I would say with the last 2 films, definitely the villains I think need a bit more work. But again, I don't think these are really about the villains in these 3 films. It's about these characters you're following, and ultimately the love, and to show that that there's more to these dragons than just what they originally thought. They improve, that kind of stuff. And I really love that about this franchise. I love this movie. This is easily in my top 5. As of right now, it's my number 3 film of the year. And that is hard. I didn't think I was going to get there. I think it was going to be in the top 10 for sure. Or I don't want to say for sure, but definitely was going to be around there. But this is easily in my top 3. It's my 3rd favorite of the year. And I'm not going, in however biased that might be, and I'm admitting to that right now, this movie I just enjoy. I think the family will enjoy. I think this is just a movie that I just love these characters. I just love this world. I just, and I love this adaptation. Again, some nitpicks here and there, but I'm saying this is, go out and see it in IMAX. This is go out and buy, like, I'm pre-ordering this once this is announced on Amazon. Like, this is a must-have for me. So, yeah, let me know what you guys thought of How to Train Your Dragon 2025. Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Were you disappointed? Did you guys think it was just okay? Let me know in the comments down below. This is Let Talks Horror Movies. Sign off. Peace.